when we talk about rule changes, bro, get rid of the one and dones. Let these guys come from high school, man.
Ooh.
Why are we talking about?
I don't know how. Then we're gonna go miles because I don't even think these kids should come out of college in the first 3 years. How about that? Welcome back to the Most Valuable Player podcast. My name is Bman and I'm here with Sosa.
Dripping in Sosa, dripping Sosa.
Sacramento Kings fan.
That's good, man.
Praying De'Aaron Fox and Marvin Bagley come back. 8-13 right now.
Wow, we need it desperately, man.
Sub 500, bro.
Bro.
How does that
It's
feel?
early days.
Sub 500.
Early days.
How does it feel being on par with New York Knicks?
Whoa.
What?
Whoa.
What?
Don't come to me saying we're New York Knicks now. We are not near the New York Knicks.
Wait, hold up. The team that wouldn't draft Doncic. The team,
Okay,
hold up,
first
wait.
off,
The team that's run by a bunch of idiots, and all of a sudden now that you've had a little bit of continuity. Wait. Now that you've had a bit of continuity, you want to talk about you're better than New York Knicks.
Right now we are.
Bruh. Y'all guys are like.
Look at your cap. You're gonna tell me that they're better than. You're gonna tell me that they're better than the Sacramento Kings right now.
What?
The Bulls.
You said the Caps, so you talk about Jordan, cuz. Don't talk about Jordan, bro.
It's got Bulls.
Don't talk about Jordan. Don't talk about Jordan, bro.
Listen, yeah.
Let's move on.
Let's talk about what actually came here for.
Basketball, bro. Let's talk basketball.
Let's talk rules.
Let's talk rules. I like it.
Rules of the game, Sahib.
Let's talk rules. So, the NBA, or there's been rumors out there that the NBA is considering some rule changes.
Yes.
Some drastic rule changes.
Yes.
Before we even say what the rule changes are, how do you feel about them?
Oh, they're needed. Like
Really?
it's a necessity, not just a case of shaking up the league, but it just needs something to freshen things up a bit.
Okay, let's talk about the first rule change that they're trying to consider. They are trying to consider to shorten the NBA season, which we've spoken about numerous times, and everyone is down for it. Less injuries and whatnot.
Yes.
But obviously, we said the reason why it won't happen is because of money. Teams don't want to lose out on money, finances. So the first rule that they considered is, why don't we have a competition halfway through the season?
Yes. Now,
So,
this is a good idea. At the same time, it runs the risk of where in English football you have the League Cup where a lot of big teams just rest and put their kids out. The NBA can't really do that, but it's a case of they might not play their best players. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to those games being televised, you're not getting the best out of these teams. Mm. But I feel like it will help, especially with teams who might not be looking towards playoffs or having the idea of having playoff basketball in their franchise. It's a really good way of them, drumming up business and actually getting people to come watch. And if they can lift something, even if it's like a minor trophy, that's good enough for some of these teams.
Yeah, but everything has to come with a little bit of substance. I mean, it's like you said.
It takes time. It takes time.
The massive difference between, and I've heard it on many pods before, where they mentioned, well, like soccer, like the Americans, soccer has got something like that, blah. But there's a football team has a lot more players, so there's a lot of shuffling that you can do. On an NBA squad, you've only got 15, unless you are planning to, as some people are concerned, in a way that maybe perhaps they're not going to play the best players, they're going to play the worst. Then
do you feel like they're not going to play their best players?
Do you know what? It depends on how much pride people have in this tournament. And I think it's an okay idea. I'm not sold on it completely, but there has to be a goal. The trophy cannot be the goal.
They've given incentives. So when they have this playing tournament, the winner, this is an idea. They've not actually come up and said this is going to happen, but an idea they've thrown out is that the winner of the tournament would be given some sort of pick as far as like compensation for winning the tournament. But do
you know what? Can I stop you there? I'm sorry, but what is to say that some of these big teams then don't go for one of these picks and then they stay at the top? Because the thing that's so beautiful about the draft picks is that there's a constant cycle and a change of teams that are in the bottom to try and then move up to the top. Mm. And then there's always a cycle and teams are at the top and then they drop and then there's a new winner. But if these play-in tournaments then move on to saying, well, we'll give you a draft pick, then what's to say, considering that the league is shortened now, they can go all out if they wanted to, because really nothing has changed in terms of the amount of basketball they're playing. What's to say that Milwaukee Bucks and the Lakers don't fight it out and then the Lakers get a pick LeBron, AD, and what some superstar in the shape of Wiseman.
We don't know what that pick would be. It could be like a late first rounder. It could be like a second round.
Yeah, but
pick.
then the argument is it even worth?
Is it worth it?
Yeah, it's that worth it.
Yeah, I mean, there's too many ifs and buts. I mean, I just like the idea of something happening in regards to, because right now we get told, okay, Christmas games are going to be for like the elitist of elite teams, which is fine, but some teams, they don't get a chance to have a Christmas game.
True.
So it's a nice opportunity to have Christmas games spread out across the United States. So
but
a lot of games can be televised and it be different countries.
But the same thing about the Christmas game is even the basketball players themselves see it as an honor to play on Christmas Day.
It is.
So that's not something that you want to take away.
You can earn that honor. That's the real thing. You can earn that honor. It's a case of a team like, I don't know, we'll say like Phoenix. They've probably had a Christmas game for a while. If they try really hard, they can come out and play for Christmas and they can have a chance to earn an extra draft pick.
Okay.
Is that not incentive enough for them to try?
Yeah, I suppose. But
like,
then
this is geared towards more of the teams that are in the lower half of the pecking order.
But then the next question is well, are they just playing one game and it's like an elimination straight away? Is there like a 3-game series? Like, how do you even approach something like this?
I think it's going to be a case of 8 teams in total would be into this. I don't know how it's picked, but like 2 teams, so it's like 4 games in total. Out of those 4 games, the next 2 team wins, and then they play in Christmas Day.
Okay.
The issue is though, I enjoy it. The issue is though, they're shortening the season, but having all these games could potentially make a team's season longer than 82 games.
Perhaps.
So it's a balancing act.
All right, then. So let's consider the next rule change that they're trying to bring in, and that is to have to reseed the NBA conference finals, to reseed them based on like out of the 4 who had the best record plays, whoever had the worst record, and then that could mean then perhaps you could have like an All East or an All West finals. Like, what do you make of that?
This is what the NBA's been not the NBA, the fans have been screaming out for ages. That's what I've been wanting, especially when you saw the 2018 finals, where we had Golden State versus Houston Rockets in the conference finals. That was the NBA finals. And then the finals was just a formality against the Cavaliers. Like, you don't want the finals to be a 4-0 sweep. Like, nobody wants to see that.
Sure.
You want to see like the 2 teams in the league go at it. Like, it was great last year because we had in at least in the East, you had Boston, you had Philly, you had 76ers, you had Toronto. They all were pretty much, the first round wasn't as good as the second and the conference finals because they were just incredible. But that doesn't happen all the time. You don't get that all the time. And it'd be a case of you'll probably have like 2 or 3 teams that are going to be the ones to look out for. And then if they play each other in the second round, what else is there to look forward to except for the finals?
Okay. But I feel like this is like a half measure. Like, I feel like they haven't gone the full way, because the reality is what the fans have really been screaming is not to reseed the conference finals. What the fans have been screaming is it needs to be the best team against like the top 16 teams, regardless of conference, to go into the NBA playoffs and then have it seeded that way. Because then you're going to have the best of the best, as opposed to having like the Heat scrape it into the playoffs, and then you could have a team
who's 8th
such as
seed? Like the Pistons were not Pistons. Yeah, the Pistons were an 8th seed.
Yeah.
And who's first seed? Bucks.
Yeah.
So they would be still the number 1 and the number 16 team playing each other.
Not always, not every year. There have been years. So if we go by, I think it was 2017, when the what's it called now? Timberwolves went against the Nuggets for that last day when they were battling out. Like, why is it that those 2 had to lose out when in fact in the East there's a bunch of scrubs all getting ready to go into the...
Tell you what,
do you know what I mean?
That talks about the in-play they have, where they're having an actual an edition where you have games.
Yeah, that's the third rule.
Like, that is great, but the problem is you're forcing teams who are like a 10th seed to be battling it out, where in reality, are they really going to be challenging for a title? Like,
does it matter? If you're in, you're in.
I guess.
If you've got a chance, and by the way, this is the third rule that they said, which is to have a play-in for the 7th and 8th seed.
So 7, 8, 9, 10 would play.
7, 8, 9, 10 would all play for the last 2 seats. I am all for that. All for it.
Like, it was wicked to watch, to see Jokic just ball out.
But it's not even that. It just gives us teams that are going to fight longer. As opposed to,
I don't like that rule.
come in like the couple of weeks before the season ends, where the teams that are like 10th and 9th kind of, well, 10th, 11th, all kind of give up. When in fact, if we keep winning, we could just make it into the playoffs, bro. It's all about the playoffs, really. I love that rule. If they implemented that, I am 100% down for that.
I'm iffy on that rule.
Really,
I'm iffy on that rule. It's a case of like, I don't know how much difference a 10th seed can make over a team that was 7th.
Are you making the assumption that the 8th seed can't beat the top seed?
Well, in the West, that might happen. But in the East, I don't think that's ever going to happen.
But you don't know that. You don't know that.
You can, yeah, but
you don't know that.
You can kind of tell when you're looking at teams like potentially the Atlanta Hawks, or who else would there be?
But you don't want to see Trae Young in the playoffs.
I'd love to see Trae Young in the playoffs.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'd love to see Trae Young in the playoffs.
But at the same time, it's like in those games that they're gonna play just before the playoffs, bro, that's like a mini playoffs before the playoffs. But that is a big deal. That's like, do you know, the whole everyone says like LeBron sleeps on the regular season. Like, the playoffs is, but then we've got just like this whole tournament thing, like there's something that people can look forward to that's like a massive deal, where you know that there might be a chance that people are going to go all out. Devin Booker gets a chance to gets into the playoffs. It just kind of widens the net for people to try and make it into.
You know what it will do? It will at least drum up entertainment for March and April.
Exactly.
Because that's when you can tell everyone's just winding down.
Because the truth is, it's like the last couple of weeks of the
unless they're fighting for like the first, second, or third seed, and like you're one game apart, everyone stops trying.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. No,
I'd love that to happen, just so there'd be competition and there'll be fighting throughout the whole of the season.
Okay, before we close it off, if there was any rule change that you could make, what would it be?
Any rule change?
Rule change whatsoever?
I'd have it so less teams would be playing across country. So like if they're a Western Conference team, they'd play more Western Conference teams.
But then you're gonna find that Western Conference teams are just going to have, like, the records are going to be like the East is just easier. So teams like Milwaukee Bucks are just going to be flying through.
Maybe, but it's a reason why they're in these locations. I'd prefer it that they'd be playing each other more often. Yeah. At least that way, then there'd be a bit more, like, clarity about who is the better team in that league, in that side of the conference. That's what I'd prefer. What would you say?
I would make, and I know this sounds really stupid because no one wants injuries, right? We don't want any injuries in the NBA. But I'd like to move slightly back in time and make the game a little bit more contact. A lot. I just need, do you know what? As a matter of fact, I clocked it.
What's that?
I want the same rules that are applied in the playoffs to be applied in the regular season. I watched something that was so ridiculous and I was like, wait, that don't make no sense. And I didn't really fact check this and see if this is true, but they were talking about Harden getting all these fouls. And I was watching, and I can't remember what game it was. This was a while back. And then the commentator must have said, the reason why James Harden really struggles in the playoffs is because they let more go in the playoffs, while in the regular season,
refs swallow the whistles.
Like, why can't the refs swallow the whistle just a little bit more during the regular season? That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe that's the rule that I want implementing. Swallow that whistle just a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Harden at the line 20 times. Do you know what I mean?
It would make the game go quicker.
Oh, there was another rule change. Sorry, before we cut it off.
Okay.
They said, and I don't know how you feel about this. I don't know how I feel about it. I think it's a bit controversial. If it was ever to be implemented, but they said that if a player shoots on the buzzer and the opposite team gets the rebound, they don't have to go out. They can just push the ball straight away, kind of like an advantage.
That's a cool one. Oh, we're talking about rule changes. Bro, get rid of the one and dones. Let these guys come from high school, man.
Ooh.
Why are we talking about?
I don't know how. Then we're gonna go miles because I don't even think these kids should come out of college in the first 3 years. How about that?
You tell them they should.
I think they should apply the same rule they apply in the NFL. Let these kids learn before they come into the.
Well, so they have to graduate first.
Yeah, graduate first, then come into the NBA. Learn the game properly first, then come into the league.
If that's the case, my only problem is the only reason why I want them to come out sooner is because I want them to get paid sooner. I like what they're doing in California where they're getting paid.
Yeah, but then the argument should be, why don't you just pay them through college? Simple.
Yeah, if they could pay, but we're talking about NBA. If it was like if the NBA could do something about this,
Yeah.
just bring them in now.
Yeah.
And then have them in like G League and have them develop and then come in.
All right. Anyway, guys, we're gonna have to put a stop to that. I think we've gone over just by a little bit.
Just by a little bit.
All right. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. It's another episode of NBA. We're gonna be back again soon.
We'll
Please,
leave links down below to our
100%,
Snapchat, our Twitter.
100%.
I'll make sure
Snapchat,
it's there.
Pop in, guys. Thank you for everything you've done so far. Keep doing it. Keep sharing everything that we do, and then we're gonna be back again soon. So,
Swish.
peace.